Good morning. It is the 24th of March. 24th of March. More fog, and I think the fog is getting heavier as I hike along. Stopped for my first break not long ago, and even while I was sitting there, it seemed like it was getting cooler, which does not bode well for the dew point and how much drizzle I may have, or just fog accumulating on the branches and the leaves and then just dripping all over everything. I started off this morning wearing my rain gear, figuring I might have to hike through some underbrush and just get wet from the underbrush, but I've now taken that off. Spent the night at Pickle Branch Shelter. There was a fellow, Matt, from Ohio, and he's contemplating maybe going out, not this year, but at some future point with some friends and doing the JMT. But he needs to find out, how this whole backpacking thing works. Well, we had great conversations, and then I met Jilly Goat, who's out here doing a section, and we talked this morning on the trail. Another great conversation. So yeah, they haven't seen many people, so they're heading northbound. I think both of them said they hadn't seen anyone in days. So hiking southbound, I get all the no-bow through hikers, of course, but also some section hikers too that they haven't seen. Anyway, very nice, sort of mystical landscape. I'm going to be coming up to the Audie Murphy monument memorial plaque here in less than 2 miles, I know. And I remember this section. You can normally get some really good views up here, but not today. But I'll probably stop at the memorial plaque here in just a little bit. Oh, and a shout out to Vlobster, who is one of the pack signers, one of the very first pack signers on my pack, and he is heading down to Harper's Ferry, and he's going to be doing the roller coaster, sort of in my backyard area. One of my favorite little sections of the AT, down there north of Shenandoah Park and all the way into Harper's Ferry. So good luck to him. So as I hike on through the mists here, I'm going to indulge in a bit of musing, as someone else who's sort of who is following me on YouTube called it. So I'm going to talk about someone, and maybe in the coming days I'll sort of develop this more and more. That's my intention. Maybe one a day, maybe I'll have to skip some days. We'll see. So who I want to talk about is someone in the mists of time, shall we say. A real person, certainly. A real person. For those of you who remember the movie or the book, The Name of the Rose, central character there, played by Sean Connery in the movie, was called William of Baskerville. Well, that character was made by the author of the novel, Umberto Eco. Is a kludge of two people, one real, one fictional. The fictional one is a reference to William of Baskerville, is Sherlock Holmes. The other one is a real world person, William of Occam, who was a Franciscan monk. William of Occam. He was English, came from the village of Occam, probably educated at Oxford University, although there's no direct documentary evidence of that. Some of you may remember William of Occam from Occam's razor, which is the philosophical principle that the simplest explanation is usually the best, although he never actually said that. Some people have put it into Latin, a little more complicated, non multiplicare precedente, something. Well, he never said that either, even in Latin. But the principle exists, and as a professional intelligence analyst, I relied on this again and again, even when trying to analyze the intentions of adversaries that I knew were trying to actively deceive me and people like me. People come up with all sorts of wacky thoughts without realizing, well, if that's true, what else has to be true? Well, this has to be true, and that has to be true, and that has to be true, and that has to be true. And it's like, no. And this is a lesson for our times, actually. A lot of people are indulging in conspiracy theories. Well, for them to be true, all sorts of, just dozens and dozens and dozens of things have to be true, too. And there's no evidence of that. So, William of Occam, a philosopher for the 21st century, medieval Franciscan monk. And Occam's razor, as powerful as it is, and as often as I used it over the decades, applied it anyway, isn't the most important idea that William of Occam had. But I will leave that for future ruminations. How's that? Is that a deal? Is that a deal as I hike on through the mists of time? Okay. Stay tuned. Well, as you can see, I've arrived at the Audie Murphy Memorial Monument here. Got a flag on a pole, obviously many smaller flags around. Audie Murphy, for those who don't know, was the most decorated soldier of World War II. Medal of Honor, Legion of Merit, Distinguished Service Cross, 3 Purple Hearts. I think he had like a bunch of silver stars and brown stars, etc. Killed in a plane crash here. So a place of, they even provided a couple seats to sit for a while, contemplate his accomplishments. So thank you to the veterans who erected this and those who have provided their own little mementos in his honor. Well, here I am at the Eastern Continental Divide. So on that side flows into the Atlantic. On the other side flows down into the Gulf of Mexico via the tributaries in the Mississippi River eventually. So I was thinking, being a geographer, because this is obviously not a point, it's a line. Where else it runs? It has to go up Has to go up all the way through Pennsylvania because the Ohio River flows into the Mississippi down into the Gulf of Mexico, but everything in the eastern part would flow into the Atlantic. Has to take a left turn, go through Ohio, Indiana. Cuyahoga flows into the Great Lakes and out through the St. Lawrence, but obviously down south it all drains into the Ohio River. It would run basically through the suburbs of Chicago, and then up north through Wisconsin. So yeah, geographic trivia here, based on a signpost that's just on a ridge here in Central Virginia. Well, I am glad it is cleared out a little bit. This is one of these sections of the trail where you just get these wonderful views across the valley. Actually, I remember 2 years ago, let's see if I can, I'm not sure how well it shows up here, but if you look across the valley, some parts are brown and some parts are green. And you can see on the far side there which sides of the little ridges are browner and which sides are greener. And, the southern sides get more sun. And it looks like they are more evergreens, or they're greener. Could be rhododendrons and laurels and things like that keep their leaves all winter long. And the other parts are just brown, haven't yet budded out. But just the microclimate, the microenvironment for this, for the vegetation is evident. Hope it comes through. I can see it with my eye, and I remember being in this area 2 years ago, and it was very evident. I wonder how far I can see here. Let me see here. So there, underneath that big cloud, maybe I'm not pointing to it correctly, but it's underneath that big cloud. There's sort of a hump-shaped mountain. And then looking over a little bit further south, oops, doesn't want to focus there. Sort of three on the horizon underneath that other cloud. I'm not sure I'm pointing in the right place. Yeah, that cloud, right underneath that cloud. There's sort of like three little bumps. I wonder how far that is. I wonder if you can see the Smokies from here. It's kind of what it boils down to. And if so, where it would be. The Bruiser's Knob Cairns. Stacks of, Just ran into a guy, Big Spoon. He said he started February 23rd. Nobo. Started doing the math on this. He's doing like, I don't know, 160-mile weeks, something like that. Okay, I'll be moving on at my own more modest pace. So that's I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Kefir oak. Supposedly the oldest tree on the AT, at least in the south. Estimated 300 years old. Well, I finally made Laurel Creek shelter. It's 8:30. 20, I don't know, I'm gonna have to add it up. 22, 23, something like that for the day. Oh, well, I made it. One more day.